Gonzaga makes the cut.
I only got 8 teams.
Gonzaga's in there because they're
Yeah.
29th in defense.
Yeah. Iowa State and Wisconsin.
Iowa State.
That's
St.
crazy. Those
St.
last,
John's offense is that bad?
huh?
St. John's offense is that bad?
Yeah, it's like 65. They've struggled offensively all year. They're just really good defensively. They were like upper 70s a week or two ago, so they've moved up a few spots offensively, but they're lower offensively. But I expect Duke, Florida, Houston, Auburn, Tennessee to be in there, but the Gonzaga and Wisconsin and Iowa State kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, they're good. I just don't foresee them as national title contenders.
All right, now I'm gonna go. We'll look at the Week 6 AP poll.
Yeah, compare that one.
Let's see here. Tennessee makes the cut. They were number one. Auburn makes the cut. Iowa State makes the cut, which is shocking to me. Duke makes the cut. It's the top 12, correct?
Yes.
Gonzaga was number 8. So they make the cut as an 8 seed. Florida makes the cut. Houston is the only one that does not make the cut of the Week 12 AP poll that also fits the top 21 and top 31.
I never could find that thing I was telling you about.
Houston 15th.
So when I was on that Hoop Southbound podcast last year, they mentioned that to make the Final Four, it was either to make the Final Four or win the national title, you had to have won one of those. A lot of those teams win those, they call them MTEs, multi-team events, like we play in. And
Like the Battle for Atlantis and
yeah, I remember last year he said, I just don't, he said Tennessee by that metric's not a contender for the national title because they didn't win theirs last year. Remember they lost to Purdue and Maui. Well, they won one this year. So we've got a lot of,
Does that actually track though?
I don't know. That's why I couldn't find it. I've Googled it today. I can't find anything on it. I don't know if that's just something he looked up. I don't have time to look all that up. But if it's true, that's another metric that, I mean, Tennessee's got like 3 or 4 metrics that falls in line with them at least getting to the Final Four. But welcome into the Section YY8 podcast. It's not only March Madness, Harbin, but it's
What?
316 day.
What?
How'd you celebrate?
Well, I got me a couple cold beers,
What?
a margarita,
What?
a shot of whiskey,
What?
and a Bloody Mary.
What?
And when I got done drinking all those,
What?
Stone Cold went and drank another cold beer.
What? Was Poncho and Macho with you?
Yeah.
It is Stone Cold Steve Austin Day, March 16th. It's also, I didn't call my nephew today. I need to call my nephew. It is his birthday. James, I know you're not listening, but happy birthday in Chicago. I'll call him tomorrow or call his mom and then call him. So, anyways, a huge weekend, Harbin. I could not keep up today with, I know you were working, earning that paycheck. Not only was Tennessee playing basketball for the SEC championship in Nashville, Tennessee baseball was playing. There was a NASCAR race with a huge winner. The Wood brothers, Josh Berry won. Golf came down to the final hole at the Players,
It's still not over,
and it ain't over. It
which
ain't over.
which is so bad.
3 hole aggregate tomorrow. I guess they couldn't do it today because they ran out of daylight because they got delayed by weather. Because when I turned it on, it was near 7. It was after 7 o'clock. It was almost getting close to 8, and they were. It was getting a little dark out there. But yeah, just a huge day in sports, huge weekend. But we have got a lot to get to. This is a mega show, mega March Madness show here on the YY8 podcast. So we're we're going to talk about a lot here. We're going to start with Tennessee Vols in Nashville SEC tournament. We'll go through talk about how they did, our thoughts on it. We'll look at Tennessee's NCAA tournament, where they're going, what town they're playing in, who they're playing, possible matchups. We'll pick our final fours, and we'll also Harbin help me out here. We got a lot of analytical data to look at, to to give the people. Let's see what I'm Tennessee baseball. So wow, I'm overloaded here, Harbin. Tennessee baseball swept the Florida Gators. I was there for a couple of those games. We'll talk about that. So a lot to get to, Harbin. A huge show. Some are saying the biggest show ever.
That would be crazy. That would
Incredible.
make it a big show.
Incredible.
Yeah. Is that man measurements or woman measurements?
We're gender neutral on this show, Harbin. What are you talking about?
I did not know that.
You
That's first.
didn't?
Yeah, that's news to me.
Psych. We are not gender neutral on the show.
Oh, gotcha.
Donald
Okay.
Trump's president. We don't have to do that anymore. And like I told you on my SEC picks, I can change them whenever I want. Donald Trump's president. And it didn't matter. You still beat me.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking of SEC tournament picks, it went a little haywire at the end, which
Yeah.
the House 11-1 in the first three rounds.
I think you finished like 11-6, though, didn't you? 11-5, 11-6.
I want to say 11-4 because there's only three games after that.
I think I finished with 9 wins because I had Florida playing in the championship game. So that helped me out a little.
But I did put my money where my mouth is for the haters and losers out there. And let's see here, Wednesday night, I put together a four-leg parlay of the teams that I picked to win. And they did. So I made some cash on that. Then on Friday, I put together a parlay of all the teams that I picked, plus Marquette, and there's another team in there. I can't remember who it was. I had that one too. So I had a four-leg and a six-leg parlay in back-to-back nights. Probably like the first time ever, and maybe the only time I'll ever do that. Yeah, I'm on a hot streak, and I hope y'all tailed me and made a little bit of dough.
Didn't you have something dramatic happen to you with your one of your picks? You said you wanted your money back.
Oh yeah, that was last night, or it was Friday night or Saturday night.
I think it was Friday night.
It was Friday night. I took Clemson to beat Louisville, and for those of you that watched and or care, Louisville got screwed at the end. I mean, Clemson got screwed at the end. Louisville was down. I mean, shit. Why do I keep wanting to say Louisville? Sorry. Clemson was down 3 with the ball, and guard drove in and got fouled no less than 4 separate times on one shot attempt. They deemed it clean. They go down, foul Louisville. I believe Louisville missed both, or is the front end of a 1-and-1. Ball don't lie. Great philosopher, Rasheed Wallace. And then Clemson got a 3 at the buzzer, and I'll be damned if he didn't get grazed on the 3 attempt.
He did. I was watching it.
Nothing. So
It's kind of like, and I know the game was over by this point, and you didn't get to see it. But I sent a couple video clips. I know it's tough to referee these games. It's fast. These guys are big, physical athletes. It's hard to referee these games. I get it. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a fourth official out there, but I think that's asking for chaos because the whistle would never stop blowing. But the SEC tournament this week was so, I don't want to say it was poorly officiated, but they called so many fouls this weekend. But then they wouldn't call stuff that was fouls. But there toward the end of the Tennessee game, I've got the video. I'll try to put it in here on the YouTube version for everybody to see. But there was, I don't know, like 35 seconds left, and Florida was up 10 at this point, and his game was over. This call doesn't make a hill of beans in the grand scheme of things, but it like blew my mind. I mean, I referee games, and I know I miss stuff, but Florida threw the ball. A guy caught the basketball on the other side of the half line, and the whole saying is it's three balls and the man got across the court, got across the half line, and all three were across the line, and Igor Milicic fouls this guy, just bumps him, just clear as day, bumps him, knocks him over the line. There was no foul called. There was no over and back called. Not only on top of that, he threw it backwards into the backcourt, and the other guy dribbled up and threw it across. There was 18 seconds on the clock. I went to Carter. I know I can't add. That's 10-second violation. They called nothing on that play. There was referees standing there. Same with Pat Adams on Saturday in Tennessee's game against Auburn. And Jay Billis said, "Oh, that's just a common foul." As and I'll post this picture on the YouTube video as Broom's hand is literally palming up into the like throat, neck, jaw area of Justin Gainey, and it's just a foul. They called a foul.
Jordan Gainey.
Jordan Gainey. It was a foul, but nothing was done. They didn't even look at it. They went and looked at it and said, "Oh, it's just a common foul." Sometimes I wonder what these guys are looking at. Like, I know it's hard. I know it's fast. I know these guys are big, fast, strong. I get it, but like today, if you, especially in the second half, if you breathed on anybody, it was a foul. But then when they go in the lane, they get tomahawked, clotheslined, nothing. The officiating anymore, I don't know what a walk is. They never call 3 seconds. It's gotten to be such a physical sport. It's not, it used to be, you say, oh, a basketball's not a contact sport. That's out the window. It absolutely is now. Because if you watch the game, I've tried to watch Chaz Lanier playing, especially against Auburn the other day. They were holding him coming off screens all day long. Saturday, Auburn was. Not, they called it every now and then, but they could have called it every time up the floor. It was aggravating. And I watched several SEC games. The officiating was all over the place. I don't want to say it was bad one way or another. It was just bad all the way around. And I don't even want to say bad. It's just inconsistent, just all over the place.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it bad. I would say that it was completely different than regular season play. I think that's a
Yes.
good way of putting it. Uh, each one of these teams went 18 games and beat the hell out of each other all year long. And then all of a sudden you get to Bridgestone Arena and it was touchy fouls that were getting called, which
Yes.
is fine, like if you call it the same way both sides, that's totally fine with me. And for the most part, at least from what I watched, that did happen. Obviously some calls get missed, but I'd say about 70-75% of the time, if it's egregious, there was a makeup call that followed suit, you know. But what ended up being Tennessee's downfall was we have 8 guys that play. And if you start calling ticky-tack fouls and a guy like Felix Akpara gets in foul trouble, you're in danger. And we've talked about this since, December?
Hmm.
If Akpara gets in foul trouble, especially against a team that's not little, we're in danger. Because him and Cade Phillips are really the only post players we have, with JP Estrella being out for the season. That is our weak spot. We've been fortunate enough to stay relatively healthy for the whole season. I'm grateful for that, and I know just about everybody listening is grateful for that. But if we get in a game just like today, where Okpara gets two or three really early fouls, we're gonna have to play small, and that's not exactly how we like to play. Sure, Igor's what 6'10", 6'11". He's not a true big. He's a wing. Like, and if we've got to play him at the five, like we're in trouble. And especially with as big and as skilled a team as Florida that plays nasty defense, they're big, athletic, long. Like it's gonna cause problems, and it did.
Yeah.
Now I was working and I was pretty busy, so I didn't get to watch intently while I was watching. But when Okpara went to the correct me if I'm wrong, when Okpara went to the bench in the first half was kind of when we started jacking threes. And that's when the gap widened from like 2 or 3 to 10 to 11. And we were down 9 at halftime, which is not unfamiliar territory for this team for the season. But especially when you're playing a team as good as they are, you can't be down 9 at the half and expect to win. You just can't.
Not against that team, no. And they honestly, they had cut it down to 6 and uh oh God, what's that guy's name?
They hit a three at the end of the half.
Yeah, it wasn't even he's not even a good I think it was Aberdeen maybe. He's not even a good 3-point shooter.
Talking about the little
Um
white guy.
I can't remember. Whoever shot it is
He's a walk
a
on, I believe.
yeah, it may have been. Um but whoever shot it was a 32% 3-point shooter on the year, and that was their 33rd attempt on the season. So that's if you want somebody to take that shot in that situation, it's him. And Florida just made it. It's one of those. What do you do? Throw your hands up and call him your daddy, I guess, in that situation. But yeah, Tennessee just, and we'll get into more of the Florida game. But you're right. A fear of mine in the tournament is if we run into a set of officials that want to call. If you look at somebody the wrong way, they're going to call a foul because we don't have our 8 that we play are pretty good, but if 2 or 3 of those have to go down for foul trouble, we're in some trouble, and it's going to take a great shooting day from somebody to get us keep us out of it. And this team doesn't do that very well a lot. I mean, they're like we'll mention here in a minute. They're 18th in offensive efficiency, so they're not a bad offensive team at all, but they don't have that, like Dalton Connect can come down and just shoot us out of a slump type player. I mean, Lanier can, but he only does it in flashes. But I mean, it was a good tournament for the Vols. I have mixed feelings on it. I talked about it in our text message group, or maybe another text message group. I can't keep up with all the text message groups I'm in, Harbin, but we went down there and won 2 games, played 3 games in 3 days, and come out empty-handed. Then we got to turn around and play Thursday. And I mentioned to somebody, we talked about this last week, and I said Tennessee should care, and all these top teams should care. But I almost would rather lose on Friday than play all these 3 games and not affect our seeding whatsoever and turn around and play 4 days later in the NCAA tournament. Like, we did all that for nothing. But it was fun Saturday. I mean, beating Auburn was great. Had a good win, a solid win over Texas, who's in the tournament, and just was a little shorthanded against Florida. I mean, they're big men. It's kind of the same story as last year when we played Purdue. Of course, Edey was a once in a generational big man. Alex Condon is not Zach Edey. And Okpara had his moments against him, but yet Tennessee was in foul trouble a lot most of the day. Meshack fouled out, Lanier fouled out, Okpara fouled out really late. But they were having, and Milicic was in and out of the lineup all day long because he was in foul trouble early on. Milicic did not have a good SEC tournament, but I think overall it was a great weekend for Tennessee. They just came up. Josh Walker texted me the other day and said, "All right, Bama or Florida, who should we want to win?" I was like, "Bama. We want to play Bama, not Florida." I did not like a matchup against Florida because of their length, and we're a guard-oriented team, perimeter-oriented team. I mean, Okpara and Phillips are all right down low, but they're not going to scare anybody. But our perimeter could with Ziegler, Lanier, and Gainey. Um, we're just a guard-oriented team, and Florida's length bothered us. And I looking at the NCAA tournament bracket, I don't think we'll really run into anybody like that until we get to like a Houston. But it really bothered Tennessee on Saturday, or sorry, on Sunday, um, against the Gators. And the Gators are just a tick better. I hate to say that, Harbin. They're just a little bit better than Tennessee right now. I text, I think you all too, but Tennessee really missed JP Estrella today. Just having that extra body down low to bang around with those guys. Tennessee really missed him. And it's nothing he did. He just got hurt. It's, you know, I keep hearing Barnes needs to get a big man. Well, he's got three, but one of them's is out. And that's nothing that he can control. But I think Akpar has been very good this year, and I think Phillips has been good at different points. I think Phillips has got to take another step next year and find some kind of a mid-range game. But he brings a lot of energy, rebounds the ball well, does a lot of scrappy stuff. But they really, they really struggled with Florida's length today. That's why, and I say they jacked up a bunch of threes. They shot 20 against Texas, 21 against Auburn, but they shot 26 against Florida today. I think
Yep.
there's a stat that Justin Jordan Moore posted that if Tennessee takes over, I think is it 25 threes, they usually lose. I think is what it is. So not that I mean, they took
The
26.
bigger issue for me is we had shot 13 threes, I believe, with 6 minutes left in the first half. So we were shooting them early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to attempt to dive into the analytics of how many threes you shot in the first half and those losses and whatnot. But
Ooh, we were bad in the second half from three. So in the first half, we were 6 of 16, 37.5%. Second half, Tennessee was 2 of 10 from 3-point range, 8 of 26 overall. Not good.
we ended the first half on a hot streak because when I looked, we were 4 of 13. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but I mean, it is what it is. It always it blows losing to Florida in anything, which we did sweep them in baseball this season or this series. We're 20-0 on the season. That was cool. But with it being March 16th, I would have loved to have switched those games today.
Oh
Now,
yeah. Oh
I,
yeah.
I mean, that's a no shit statement, but it just sucks losing to them. And hats off to them. They're a phenomenal basketball team. In my opinion, they're definitely a top five team in the country. You could 100% make an argument that they're the best team in the country. I mean, they've lost 4 games all year, and Auburn's lost 3 in the last 16 days or 15 days. And they got the number 1 overall seed, which I'm sure we'll get more into that here in a second, but I don't agree with that. You can't go 1-3 in your last 4 games going into the tournament and get the number 1 overall seed. You just can't. Uh, yeah, they were better than us today. We didn't play a good game today. Like I've heard a lot of people say, well, Florida's just better than us. They might be, but it's not like they're way better than us. We didn't play good today.
No, you're right. I mean, they're
And
not. I
it
say
just is
they're.
what
I
it
said
is.
they're a tick better than us. Just
No, I
yeah,
wasn't talking about you. I was just talking
yeah.
about in general. Like with a lot of people that I talked to today, like, well, they're just better than us. It's like, well, they busted our ass in Gainesville and we busted their ass in Knoxville. Like, it's not that wide of a discrepancy. I think if we played 10 times, Florida probably wins 6. Maybe 7. Hell, maybe 5. You don't
Yeah,
know. That's why it's
it's
big.
it's hard to
Uh,
say. I mean, because Tennessee, they just I hear people like, oh, poor little old Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's the number 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Let's not forget
yeah.
that.
In my truly honest opinion, and I've kept up with college basketball a little bit more, like as a whole this year than I normally do. I think you could throw Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Houston, and Alabama in a bowl. Those are the top five, in my opinion. Duke's probably six, and Duke's going to get the bias because 47% of ESPN's payroll is former Duke players. Um, you can take those five and jumble them up, and those are your top five teams. I truly believe that. And then you've got like Duke and St. John's and Michigan State to follow. But there's not a clear cut number one. I thought it was Auburn, but we have found the cracks and the crevices of that team. Really, the one that and you just got to tip your cap. And it's gonna make me throw up saying this because it's Florida, but in my opinion, Florida's the best team in the country. You go 30-4 in the SEC this year. The the year that the SEC broke the record for most teams in the tournament, which was 14.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Auburn, beat them. They went to Alabama, beat them. They got 2 out of 3 with us. I mean, what more can you ask for? And they got shafted. They got thrown into the West region in the hardest region.
Yeah, I honestly glad we weren't the the last number one
No,
seed after looking at the bracket.
no, I mean their reward for going 30-4 in the SEC is to get the winner of UConn and Oklahoma in a round of 32.
So I wanted to read this stat before we get into the NCAA tournament. I think, and just to recap on the SEC tournament, this was the fourth SEC championship game, tournament championship game that Tennessee's played in the last 7 years. I didn't realize this. ESPN popped it up, and I thought it was a lie, and I went and looked it up. It was true. That was the 14th time that Tennessee's played in the SEC tournament finals, and I sent it to Walker because I didn't believe it. He kept saying, "Oh yeah, ESPN said it." And I was like, "That's there's no way that's true." I couldn't believe it, and by God, it was. We had where is it here? Harb. I know it's in here somewhere. Sorry, hold on just a second. Okay,
I do know
19
I do know we're 1-3 in the last four.
right. 1936, 1937, 39, 41, 43, 45, 50. And then the tournament was gone for 2 decades. And then we won the first one, played in the first one and won it in 79, played in 91. And then it was all the way to 2009 when we played again, and then 18, 19, 22, 25. So this was the fourth appearance in the Rick Barnes era in the SEC title game. We are 1-3. So there's that. I'm sure all the Barnes haters and losers will flock to that comment or that stat.
They
But
shouldn't. They shouldn't.
I
Uh,
mean,
in my opinion, this one had a lot of the feel of the 2019 one.
it did.
In the 2019 one, we beat Kentucky in the semifinals, and it was a
Hmm.
pretty big upset that year. I don't remember who they had, but we weren't supposed to win that game. It was in Nashville. Kentucky had probably 70% of the fans there, and I believe that was the Lamonte Turner game.
It was. That was the year we had already. I know we beat them at home. I can't remember if we. I don't think we beat them in Lexington that year. So we had split the season series, but they were the 2 seed. We were the 3 seed.
Right. And we won that game. Obviously, it was a rivalry game. It was a high energy game. And then we played Auburn in the SEC championship game and just absolutely laid an egg. They beat us by 20, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was 80 something, 60 something, if I remember correctly.
84-64.
All right, there we go. Good memory, like an elephant.
Sad.
This weekend had a lot of the same feel. Not very little of us, and across the country, expected us to beat Auburn. I expected it to be a hell of a game. I thought it was going to go just like the regular season game against Auburn. Down to the wire. They pull ahead, make a play or two, or we blow it, one of the two. It didn't happen. And I don't have a PG way of saying this, so I'm going to apologize beforehand. I think we blew our load on Saturday. And that just is what it is. Like, I don't think we laid an egg today. I don't think we came out flat, so those narratives are kind of dead. But we didn't play winning basketball. It just is what it is. Am I upset? Absolutely. Am I pissed off? Maybe a little, but it just is what it is. Florida's a hell of a basketball team, and but I will say, like, if you're not gonna win the thing, lose on Friday and get some rest.
What I said.
Which I hate saying that because, in my opinion, that's a loser's mentality. If you're playing in a tournament bracket and there's a trophy, you play to win. And I know for a fact that's how they approach this, especially with the field as good as it was.
Mhm.
But just from like a logistics standpoint, like we talked last week, Tennessee and Alabama both lost on
Friday.
last year. Tennessee made the Elite Eight. Uh, Alabama made the Final Four. I don't remember who played in the SEC championship game last year, but we made it further. Both,
Florida and Auburn.
and they both lost before that.
Yes.
So it's the rest versus grind essentially, and I hope I'm wrong, but we may fall victim to the double shaft. You play all the way to Sunday, you don't get the reward for it, and you don't get any rest. And we were hoping for a Friday Sunday slot. We got the Thursday Saturday, which
I knew they were going to send us to Lexington, but I was praying for Raleigh because Raleigh was Friday, Sunday, but I knew they were going to send us to Lexington, which is fine. It's three
either way,
hours from home.
yeah, that's a shorter trip. Obviously, those players are used to that trip, so
This is like playing a Saturday, Wednesday game, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure they'll keep kind of the same schedule, but it's the same time off as a Saturday, Wednesday game. So it's Sunday, Thursday. So, just keep it going.
yeah. I mean, and we've got some dogs on the roster, and all of those dogs, for the most part, outside of some of the grad transfers, have been here before. They know what they're getting themselves into. They know what it takes. They know what kind of a grind it is. I'm not necessarily worried about them. I'm just kind of worried about execution because this is playoff basketball. Like, this is the fun part. Like, everybody, I'm gonna compare this to NBA for a second. Everybody always wants to look at field goal percentage and this and that. Well, there's a lot of players that have always said, like, that shit goes out the window in the playoffs. Nobody cares about efficiency. It's just a matter of, like, am I going to get it in or am I not? That just is what it is. It don't matter if it's pretty. It don't matter if it's ugly. It's just survive and advance at this point. So, and nobody knows what's going to happen. This shit's crazy, but
No,
we'll
we
see.
don't. So Tennessee lost in the SEC finals to Florida. And so now it's on to the old. I said this. The big dance is the ultimate goal. That's what all this is about, Harbin. And Tennessee is going to try to get to that elusive Final Four, get to San Antonio. Um, and we'll talk about the road they've got to go on first, or here in a second. But first, kind of where is Tennessee at? They were the number 2 seed in the Midwest bracket, the number 5 overall seed in the tournament. So while the brackets were being released, I said I'm gonna keep track of how many wins Tennessee has over tournament teams. So I tracked it at, I believe, 13. So they have wins over number 8 seed Louisville, number 8 seed Mississippi State, number 9 seed Baylor, number 10 seed Alabama, number 11 seed Texas, number 10 seed Arkansas, number 9 seed Oklahoma, number 4 seed Texas A&M, number 6 seed Illinois, number 2 seed Alabama, number 1 seed Auburn, number 1 seed Florida. That's a pretty nice list of teams Tennessee defeated this season. I didn't keep track of the teams we lost to because that wasn't that many. I mean, I don't think we lost to, let's see, Kentucky twice, Auburn,
Ole Miss,
Florida, Ole Miss. Who was our sixth loss?
Vandy.
Florida again and Vandy. So all those teams, all seven, well, it was only five teams made the NCAA tournament. So I mean, it was an incredible season by Tennessee. No banner to hang or anything like that, but 27-7, I believe, on the season, and probably the toughest conference in college basketball history. 14 teams from the Southeastern Conference made the NCAA tournament, blows away the record of 11 in the Big East from years ago. Uh, I didn't think Texas would get in. And then when I saw North Carolina's name pop up on the bracket reveal, I was like, oh crap, they're out. And then they put them in. They're in the first four in Dayton, but they're an 11 seed. So they made the dance. I was shocked that they did. But I think the committee, besides North Carolina, I think they got all the teams pretty right in this thing.
North Carolina getting in is a national travesty. Like it's bullshit that they
I
got in.
thought West Virginia and or Indiana should have been over them.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a case for Boise State,
True.
but Boise State's downfall is they play in the Mountain West and they lost their tournament championship game to
Championship.
Colorado State, which I believe has won 7 in a row to make the tournament.
I think so, yes.
Good on them boys. But yeah, North Carolina getting in, that's brand recognition. If they had Boston College on their chest, would they be in?
No. Well, they claim, and I heard Lenardi, that loser Lenardi, say this that they were going to get in. He kept projecting Texas out because of their non-conference strength of schedule, and the reason he had North Carolina in was their non-conference strength of schedule and their overall strength of schedule, which is great, Joe. They won one game all year. One game. They were like 1-11 versus quad one, I believe.
Who was their
Um,
one quad one win?
that I don't know.
Did
Was
they
it
beat
Clemson?
Kentucky or Louisville? I mean, Louisville or Clemson?
They may have beat Louisville. I don't know. I can tell you real quick. But yeah, they had one quad one win this season. It is pathetic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, they were
horrible.
1-12 versus quad one teams this season. Now they were great against quad three and four. Good for them. But Lenardi kept saying, "Well, Texas won't be in because they have 15 losses, and no team's ever made the tournament as an at-large with 15 losses." I I just wasn't buying. I don't care how many losses
Yeah,
they have. Look at their resume.
they had 13 conference losses though. Like
Yes.
two of
Would
those were
you
Tennessee. Like
would UCLA be a quad one win at home? I don't know about that
yeah,
one.
UCLA's a tournament team. Why wouldn't it be?
They beat UCLA at home. They were ranked 18th. I don't know what they were in the net rankings at the time. That was back in December. Let's see. Man, they ain't beat anybody. No, it has to be UCLA. I think UCLA, who is a seven seed, is their lone quad one win. They didn't beat Louisville. They definitely didn't beat Duke. They lost to them twice,
3 times.
three times. So yeah, no, it was UConn or UCLA.
Yeah, that's ridiculous that North Carolina's in.
But yeah, Tennessee's taking on Wofford. I like our draw. We're a two seed, number like I said, number five overall. taking on the ankle biters, the Wofford Terriers from Dr. Neese's hometown, Spartanburg, South Carolina, like 5 minutes down the road from his house. I
My
pass it
my
every time I
cousin's
go to his
husband,
house.
my cousin's husband was an All-American at Wofford.
I think I knew that for some reason.
Yeah, soccer. So he may be torn a little bit, but he may have on a Wofford T-shirt underneath his Tennessee hoodie. But
I haven't got to look into Wofford yet. I know they won the SoCon in a. I don't know if anybody out there got to watch this game, but they won the Southern Conference Championship over there in Asheville, beat Furman, and I think Wofford was the 6th seed.
they were, and Furman was the 5. Furman knocked
Yes,
UTC,
who
which
was
was,
the 1 seed.
yeah,
Let's see Wofford's schedules, and they went 19 and 15, 10 and 8 in conference. I mean, they played Duke at Duke and lost 86-35 back in November. They don't look like there's much else on here. They lost to Charleston, who's a good team. Didn't make the tournament, but they're a good team. They lost by 10 to them back in December. Oh Lord, they beat ETSU. They lost to UTC in overtime. But that's about, I mean, there's not much on here. I mean, there's just not much on here. I mean, they were a middling Southern Conference team who got hot in Asheville and won a few games, and they made the big dance. And now their reward is they're playing one of the top 5 teams in the country in Lexington at Rupp Arena. I haven't had an opportunity to look into Wofford before we recorded. From what I have heard about them, they like to shoot threes, but I think a lot of people like to do that now. But you can honestly say this is a huge mismatch for Wofford. Tennessee's the more physically dominant team, better team overall. I'm not worried about this game. Maybe I should be, but I'm just not. I just think Tennessee's so much more talented than Wofford, and they're just a better basketball team than Wofford. And they will go out and prove that on. And we're going to make picks later on, but I think they
Tennessee.
go.
Tennessee opened up as a 19.5 point favorite.
And I think BPI has us at 90, is like 92 or 93% chance to win. So I don't want to say it's in the bag because nothing this time of year is in the bag. It's absolutely not. Nothing is a given or an automatic in in when you get to March Madness, NCAA tournament. But this is one of those games. I don't know if Wofford's as bad as St. Francis was last year, but we just destroyed St. Francis last year in that first game. But um, what do you think about Tennessee's draw, where they were seeded, Harbin, the matchup? What's your thoughts initially going into this thing?
I don't hate it. If we would have won today and still got the same draw, I'd be really mad.
Yeah,
But we didn't, so I don't have to be mad about that. I don't hate the draw whatsoever. I think I would rather be the 2 seed in the Midwest than the 1 seed in the West.
I agree.
I really do. We get Wofford, and then we get the winner of UCLA and Utah State, which is not a cupcake game. I mean, we do not have necessarily a cakewalk to the Sweet 16, but we are obviously the best team of those 4. And then once you look at that, if it's chalk, which it probably won't be, if we do make it to the Sweet 16, we get the winner of Illinois and Kentucky, which we are 0-2 against Kentucky. But the thing that I love about that draw is we've seen both of those teams before. And people can harp about Rick Barnes in March, Tennessee being a 2 seed and getting knocked down in the Sweet 16. They can say that all they want. I trust Rick Barnes and company over a lot of coaching staffs in America on preparing for a team that they've already seen once or twice. I really do. Especially when, in my opinion, we are a better basketball team. I think us and us and Kentucky are fairly on the same plane, we'll call it. But I think we're a little bit better than Illinois. And that win at Illinois was a huge win. That was when we were number one in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a bad basketball team. I mean, they had some losses down the stretch, obviously, but they're a good team. But I really like our chances seeing Kentucky for a third time or Illinois for a second time. In a weird way, I would rather play Kentucky if we do make it to that stage because it's really, really hard to go 3-0 against a team that's as good as we are in a season. And a rematch against Illinois, anything could happen. But truth be told, I really do like our draw. Uh, and I know Houston's the one seed. Who's the 4 and 5 seeds? Refresh my memory, please.
Sure, why not? Let's look at it here. So we'll start at the top. Houston's the 1 seed versus Southern Indiana University. Is that Evansville? Has to be.
SIUE.
SIUE. Let's just leave it at that. 8 versus 9 in this region is Gonzaga versus Georgia. 5 versus 12, Clemson versus McNeese
Yeah.
State. And the 4 versus 13 matchup is Purdue versus High Point.
Which that's crazy because all four of those teams could very much so make the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
High Point is an electric basketball team. If you haven't heard or watched any of them, study up on them. They're really, really fun. That could be a huge problem for Purdue. McNeese State, I believe, is still coached by Will Wade.
They are indeed.
And Clemson is in the metrics, or have been in the metrics for most of the year of potential national title contenders. Clemson's very good. Those two games could steal the show for Thursday and Friday. Keep an eye on those. This region's good, but I do think it's favorable for us, non-biasedly. It's going to be really difficult for Tennessee and Houston to meet each other in the Final Four, especially with
You mean the Elite Eight?
yeah. I'm sorry,
I was like, huh?
you know what I meant.
Yeah, I got you. The listeners may not. That's why I said that.
Yeah, I apologize. You also called Alabama a 10 seed when you were rattling off our wins, but I didn't correct you on that.
Oh, I did.
You did.
Whoops. They are definitely not a 10 seed.
But Clemson McNeese State's going to be a battle. I give Clemson the upper hand. Purdue and High Point, anything could happen in that game. Take that for what you may. And Houston's good. They're really good. I think they're. It's hard to compare us and them because I think we only have one common opponent, which would be Baylor. They're always good. You know what you're getting at Houston, especially the last 4 or 5 years. That top half of the bracket, in my opinion, is a crapshoot. Like that could be, when you fill your bracket out and you got green, green, red, green, green, green. That could be the part of the bracket that's like green, red, 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 green. I don't know. I think the bottom half is slightly more predictable, but I think the Midwest region could be a lot of fun. I think it really could. And be 100% honest with you, I think in the Elite Eight you could see two orange teams playing each other. I really do. I like Clemson a lot.
You've been high on Clemson this year. You've talked about them a lot as the season's gone along.
Solid. And while I'm on that same breath, we need to give Louisville their flowers on how much better they've gotten as the season went on. Which the ACC is not as good as it normally is, But when we played them in, what was it, November at Louisville, and we beat them by 23, we're like, oh yeah, Louisville's gonna be dog shit again this year. Next thing you know, they go what, 28-6, 27-6, 18-2 in the regular season of the ACC, go 2-1 in the ACC tournament. The fact that they got an 8 seed is beyond me. Like their reward for going 28-6 and completely turning their program around is getting Creighton in the first round.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
Yeah. So let's do this, Harb. Let's what we'll do, picking the NCAA tournament here. We're not going to go through every game. I don't, unless you just really want to, Harbin. I don't think you do, but that would take us forever. But I say let's do this. Let's pick the Midwest region, which Tennessee's in, and then we'll share our Final Fours. And again, I honestly never. This is a little early here on Sunday, so I'm going to put I'm gonna put an asterisk on this. This is subject to change because I haven't even got to sit down and look through all of these matchups that could possibly happen. I'm just gonna say teams I like, but let's go through and pick um, Tennessee's region in the Midwest region. We'll start up top with Houston and SIUE. And I don't honestly don't think we had to spend a lot of time on a lot of these games, but who do you like in that game, Harbin? No upset or upset in this one?
I'm gonna go Houston. I mean, probably big because I would assume that SIUE is much smaller and slower than they are. Could be a bloodbath.
Could be a bloodbath. I like Houston. Next game is Gonzaga and Georgia. Who do you like in that one?
That one's gonna be a fun one because Gonzaga was top 10 preseason, and obviously they did not have the season that they thought they would. And Georgia surprised a lot of people, so they're kind of doing this number for the listeners. It's opposite axis. I'm gonna go with Gonzaga.
I agree. I think Gonzaga is playing pretty well right now. I have to go with Gonzaga. Georgia's a good team. I actually had Georgia after we picked on the show last week. I actually changed my mind and had Georgia advancing to the semifinals of the SEC. No, sorry. I had them advancing to Friday of the SEC tournament. That didn't happen. They lost on Wednesday. So um, that didn't work. But yeah, I like Gonzaga in this game. Next game is the aforementioned Clemson Tigers versus Will Wade's McNeese somethings. I don't know their mascot. Now I'm usually a lot better than that. Harbin.
It's something
Um,
horse.
it's a horse,
I don't know if they're the horsemen but their
the
logo
four horsemen.
their logo has a horse in it. I'm 97% sure on.
While you're picking that game, I will look them up. How about that?
Yeah, I'm going with Clemson.
That
Uh,
was fast.
yeah, I am. I'm fairly high on Clemson this year. They played a hell of a game against Louisville. Louisville's a good team. I do think they're better than Louisville. It just didn't go their way. They're second best team in the ACC behind Duke. I like Clemson.
So, the mascot of McNeese State University is Rowdy. And Rowdy was named after Clint Eastwood's character on Rawhide television show. According to legend, Rowdy was on a cattle drive out west when he stopped in Lake Charles and decided to stay. But it doesn't tell me what Rowdy is. Is that a man? It's a guy. So, yes, it's a guy that looks like the Oklahoma State Cowboy mascot a little bit. Rowdy the Cowboy. He was adopted in 1982. His costume consists of an oversized full-length cowboy with a large hat and exaggerated features.
They're the Cowboys, by the way.
They're the Cowboys. I kind of put two and two together there when Rowdy the Cowboy popped up. So, anyways, all right, I got Clemson. I just think Clemson's better. I like McNeese State as a mid-major team, and Will Wade's a very good coach. Now, one thing I did watching some of the bracket breakdown on CBS earlier, McNeese has got some guys that have Power Four now. I keep wanting to say Power Five, but they've got some Power Four experience. They played at Power Four schools, and for whatever reason, have transferred down. But um, I I just think Clemson's a really good basketball team, and the analytics, like you mentioned earlier, they're no longer in that conversation because they fell out, but they've been in it all year long, and I think they advance in this game. Next game is the defending national runner up. I don't know if you want to call that defending. Last year's runner up, Purdue Boilermakers versus High Point. This is a 4-13 matchup. Who you got?
I'm rolling with High Point.
It seems to be a trendy pick, and I've seen some others pick them.
It could be. I haven't seen anybody pick them, which I haven't paid any attention to it whatsoever. But Purdue kind of had a little bit of a disappointing exit in the Big Ten tournament. I believe they got beat by Wisconsin, maybe. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. A High Point's a lot of fun. I think they got a lot of momentum. When you get in this tournament, momentum's a lot, and it really comes down to who's hitting shots and who's not. If High Point keeps this close at half and maybe takes the lead at the 15-minute mark in the second half, Matt Painter may look like that. And I don't know, things could get wiry. I'm going High Point.
Until last year, Matt Painter has not had a lot of success in March at Purdue. I mean, they've had some early exits, some heartbreaking defeats. Um, I don't know. The numbers are telling me to pick Purdue here, Harbin. I hear a lot about High Point, and they're again the flashy team. Uh, it, Vegas though, it looks like that Purdue opened -10.5. It's already down to 8.5. So take that for what it's worth. But BPI's got the matchup predictor Purdue 81.8%. I'm going to go chalk here and go with the Boilermakers. Let's see.
Middle name is Chalk.
Yeah, it is. Charles Chalk to you. Where did my bracket go? Harbin?
Next game.
There it is. Sorry. Go ahead. Take the lead here.
Next game is Illinois and the winner of the Texas Xavier play-in game.
I hate it. You've heard me talk about this last year. I hate it when it's called a play-in game. Both those teams are in the tournament.
Oh, shut the hell up. It's a playing game.
How's it a play-in game? They made the tournament.
They didn't make the actual bracket. If they did, their
Yes,
name.
the field is 68 teams. They are two of the 68 teams.
Either way, Texas and Xavier are playing for an opportunity to play Illinois.
There you go. Much better.
Either way.
I'm sorry. That's like a pet peeve of mine. I got in an argument with somebody last year about it. They're like, that's a play-in game. I'm like, if you expand the field to 68 teams, those games have to be on there somewhere. You can't just shove them in there on the first round. The math doesn't add up. So they have to play those games like that.
Well, they probably just shouldn't have expanded it in the first place.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. And I'm anti. They should not expand to any more teams. Look at the bubble. Those teams don't need to be. North Carolina definitely doesn't need to be in there, but neither does Indiana or West Virginia. Sorry, go ahead.
But as far as Texas Xavier goes, I like the Longhorns. I think they're catching a lot of flack from national media that didn't really watch a ton of SEC ball this year. Texas would probably be the third or fourth best team in the ACC this year. I'm taking them over Xavier. Now, granted, I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. I don't know a ton about Xavier. I know they're in Cincinnati, and Bob Huggins hated them at one point.
Yeah,
Uh, look up that radio clip if you haven't seen it.
great.
But I'm going Texas, and by God, I picked him in the SEC tournament. I would do it again for an upset. I'm gonna take Texas to knock out Illinois.
Ooh, Texas is going to beat the Musketeers, and then they're going to beat the Fighting Illini, the Illinois Fighting Illini.
I do, or at least right now, that's how I'm feeling.
I don't, I don't disagree with that pick, not one bit. Who do you? So I guess you're who? So you're taking Texas to beat Xavier.
I am,
And I am too. I would. I know we're not really picking that game, but I think Texas is a better team than Xavier.
but I will say if Xavier does beat Texas, I have Illinois. So however you want.
Yes, I agree with that. If Texas wins, they will. Sorry, I'm trying to get this bracket to pull up so I can see it instead of having to minimize my screen every time I want to look at it, and I'm having all kinds of issues here. But
I I do want to be wholeheartedly when I say this. When Illinois and Texas play each other, Illinois, in my opinion, has the far greater advantage in the coaching matchup. I think Brad Underwood's a hell of a coach.
yes, he is.
Yeah.
I think.
But I do think old boy at Texas has saved his job.
Honestly, I if Xavier plays Illinois, I would definitely, without a doubt, pick Illinois. But even if Texas wins, I'm still going chalk here. I think Texas is good, and they did play in a really good conference, but there's a reason they have 15 losses on the season. And I know Illinois has been kind of roller coaster this year. They gave Tennessee a challenge, but give me the Illini, Brad Underwood and the Illini to advance. What about Kentucky and
Fun,
Troy? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
fun fact I believe every single year since they've introduced the first four, a team that played in a playing game as an 11 seed has advanced to the Sweet 16 every year since it started.
Believe that's correct. Remember Tennessee did it that one year.
I think that was the first year or second year.
It may be. I don't think it was the first year, but I think it was one of the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we beat Iowa and Dayton, and then
Yeah.
beat was it UMass and Mercer? Because Mercer beat Duke,
Yep.
and then we lost a heartbreaker to Michigan
Yep.
in Indianapolis, I believe, which is where we'll be going this year. Let's see, Kentucky and Troy. Kentucky is currently an 11.5 point favorite, 89% chance to win on matchup predictor. Who do you have?
I don't know a damn thing about Troy.
I don't either. I know they're the Trojans.
Yeah, I know that. I think I'm not saying this being facetious. I think a lot of this has to do with Lamont Butler's availability.
Yes.
I think that is a huge factor. I don't know the extent of his injury when he got knocked out against Alabama. If he plays, I think it's Kentucky comfortably. But if he don't play, if Troy can throw a press on, they don't really have a guy that can bring the damn ball up outside of him. And you saw that against Alabama. I think like if Lamont Butler plays, I'm definitely taking Kentucky, and you can go ahead and pencil me in for Kentucky. But if Lamont Butler is out for that first round game, Kentucky fans need to be concerned because that dude is extremely good, and I think he is more important to that team even than what the numbers show. Uh, like he's their almost sole ball handler as far as like facilitation goes, and he's a bucket. I'm gonna take Kentucky, but if he gets ruled out somehow for that Troy game, there might be trouble in Big Blue Nation.
Kentucky did not play very well in Nashville, and they kind of blew it against Oklahoma and were lucky to win that game. They did not play well at all against Florida, or is it no? Sorry, Alabama on Friday night. They did not look good at all. I think their coach Pope was really kind of questioning their defensive effort during that game. They would go to the sidelines and the reporter would be like, "You have given up defensively," is what she kept saying. He was telling the team. You can't do that this time of year. I know Kentucky can shoot the ball really well at times. They get really hot, but say Butler's not playing and they're not shooting the ball well, that their defense is not all that impressive to me. This is a game where it could get a little nail biter, but I don't know anything about Troy. I'm looking and there's 13-5 in the Sun Belt, 23-10 overall. Their last 5 games, they beat Texas State, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, James Madison, and Arkansas State to win the title. So um, I'm going with Kentucky in this because I think they're better. But you're right. If Butler doesn't play or is hampered in any way, and they play defense like they did against against who'd they play? Oklahoma and Alabama, they could be asking for trouble in this game. So this is one to maybe keep your eye on. I'm not saying Troy upsets them. I'm actually picking Kentucky, so I'm definitely not saying, but I could be one of those that Kentucky maybe has to sweat it out a little bit. So we'll keep your eye on that one if you're doing that. So let me get back to the bracket here. I had to click out of it. All right, now we get down to our. So I always do this, Harbin. Like we're in a 4-team tournament now. It's us and Wofford, Utah State, and UCLA. We don't worry about anything else. Because we can't worry about those other teams because we can't play them until the next weekend. So it's a 4-team tournament. That's what we're looking at here. First game well, actually, we're the first game on schedule that night in Lexington for the night session. But let's start with UCLA, 7 seed UCLA Bruins versus the 10 seed Utah State Aggies. UCLA is a 4.5 point favorite. Matchup predictor gives the Bruins a 62.2% chance to win this game. What are your thoughts on this 7-10 matchup, which I don't know the numbers historically, but this seems like one of those. The 7-10 game is usually sometimes a lot like a 50-50 matchup, like those 8-9 games.
Yeah, for sure is. And I think UCLA may or may not be slightly overseeded. Personal opinion. They play in a good conference. Don't get me wrong, but what are they overall? They've lost what 11 games.
They are 22-10 on the season, and they were 13-7 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, which is solid, But in my opinion, I would compare that resume to one of maybe Arkansas, you know. So kind of look at it like that. I'm not saying they're the same team, but Utah State, I believe, has only lost 6 games all year. They play in the Mountain West. Sure, I believe it's Mountain West that they play.
Yes.
But from the little bit that I know about them, they play a fun brand of basketball, as far as I know. So they could get out and run on UCLA. For some reason, I'm liking Jordan Love here. I'm liking me
There you go.
some Utah State. In my opinion, Mick Cronin's bitched and cried a lot this season. He's talking about going coast to coast for conference games, which he's absolutely right. Don't get me wrong. Like, it wasn't his fault. The fact that they have conference games with them Maryland and Rutgers is asinine. But I'm going to take Utah State. I just am.
So I hate to do this, Harbin, but you're right. And here's my reason for picking this. You're right. Mick Cronin has whined and moaned and bitched all year long about the travel and the coast to coast travel, the different time difference. He's got one foot out the door. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up at Indiana after the season. He's from that area, part of the country. He was at Cincinnati for a long time and had a lot of success there. Went out to UCLA, which is considered they're blue blood, one of the top programs in the country, even though they haven't really been all that relevant. They have been under him. They made a couple Final Fours under him, but I feel like he's got one foot out the door. And this is one of those things how it plays out. They lose in the first round and get upset, and he's gone. I've got Utah State, who looks like a pretty good team, 26-7 overall, 15-5 in the Mountain West. And the Mountain West isn't a slouch conference. It's just not. New Mexico's a really good team. They're in the tournament as an at-large. Colorado State won the tournament, I believe, and then Utah State's in here. So,
And Boise
um,
should have been.
and Boise could have been, but it was a three-bid league, so it's not like they're it's not like they're not any good. So, I like Utah State Aggies in this one. I think the bitching and moaning, and I'm not saying he's not trying, but I've just got this gut feeling that this is what's going to happen. He's going to lose, and then he's going to take off to Bloomington to fill that job, which is open.
Bitch moaning Mick Cronin.
Bitching and moaning, Mick Cronin. All right, next game. I think you and I both have already kind of picked this game, but Tennessee versus Wofford. So let me get back to it here. The UCLA Utah State game is at 9:25 on Thursday night on TNT. Tennessee leads or plays before them and leads into that game at 6:50 p.m. on TNT, former home of Monday Nitro. Tennessee versus Wofford. I mentioned earlier, Harbin mentioned the line. It looks like Tennessee has dropped to 18.5, but they are 95.7% chance to win this game over the Terriers. I think you're taking Tennessee, right?
No, I'm taking Wofford.
Oh, big upset.
No, I'm just kidding. I got the Vols. It may not be the prettiest, but and we may not be up by 30 at halftime, but I do think we win this game. I think our size and our defense is too much for them to overmatch. They had a hell of a run just to make the tournament, and kudos to them, fighting all the way from Spartanburg. But you get one of the best teams in the country. Now I just think talent prevails a lot of the time.
The 865 area code will overtake the 864 area code of Spartanburg County. So I've got Tennessee winning this one. I don't know, when is any of our games ever pretty, Harbin? Not really ever. Um, the Oklahoma game is about as much of a domination game that we've had this year, in my opinion, start to finish. Like we dominated Oklahoma on the road. But I mean, honestly, other than that, we've had lapses during games, kind of let a team. I can see Wofford hanging around for a little bit, but we're up like 12 or 14 at the half and then kind of pull away in the second half. Maybe I think we cover and win, but I don't know. I think Wofford, I mean, from what I can tell, they can shoot threes a little bit, but we'll post some stuff as we go on during the week about them. But both of us like the Vols here. So let's go back up to the top of this bracket. So who did you pick, Gonzaga or Georgia?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. So did I. So we've got Houston versus Gonzaga. Who do you like in that one? I'm gonna tell you, I'm taking Houston. I'll pick first. I'm taking Houston.
I'm gonna go Houston, but it could be a really fun one. I'm gonna reluctantly go with Houston.
Could be.
Because I wanted to go Gonzaga based on experience, but hell, Houston's got just as much experience in the last 5 years as they do. So we go Houston.
All right. I've got Houston as well. Next game, you've got High Point versus Clemson. I have Clemson versus Purdue. Um, Clemson versus Purdue could be a really good game. I think both these they're both very good basketball teams. I'm gonna go with Purdue. Nope, I'm gonna go with Clemson. I like Clemson. They're really good.
No, go with Purdue.
No, I'm going with Clemson. Oh, okay, I'll go with Purdue. You're picking Clemson. You have
Okay.
Clemson versus High Point, correct?
No.
Again, this is not official. I have not looked into it, so
I
I'm
know
just picking off of looking here.
you're gonna change it. Uh, I've got Clemson in a damn nail biter over High Point. Like this could be one of those heartbreaker games for High Point. But good teams that survive and advance win nail biters when they probably shouldn't be nail biters. I'm taking the Tigs.
All right. So next up is I've got Illinois versus Kentucky. You have Texas versus Kentucky. I will take Illinois over Kentucky. I don't trust Kentucky at all right now. I don't think either of these teams advance past or they whoever wins this game, I don't think they advance any further after that. But I have Illinois beating Kentucky in a slight upset, probably.
I have Kentucky beating Texas. Uh, I think Lamont Butler is going to be healthy, and I don't wish injury on anybody. So hopefully he stays healthy through the duration of Kentucky's time in this tournament. And if he does, I think Kentucky makes their way to the Sweet 16. I think they're a very good basketball team when he plays and is 100%. He may not be 100%, but even if they get 90 out of him, it's much better than him not being out there.
So the on my pick, Illinois versus Kentucky, the matchup analysis, users would pick Kentucky 62% of the time over Illinois. So I'm going against the grain on that one. Let's see if you take Texas and Xavier, because I can't plug in. It says Texas. People would pick Kentucky 62% of the time against. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind. Maybe that's not accurate. But, anyways, I'm still taking Illinois. 62 plus 30 is not 100%, Harbin. So something's off here. I don't know what, but something's off. But I'm still taking Illinois. Utah State versus Tennessee in Lexington on Saturday for a chance to go to the Sweet 16 for I believe would this be the fourth or fifth time under Rick Barnes? 18, 19, 23, 24. Yeah, it'd be the fifth time under Rick Barnes if they do it.
I got the Vols.
Vols, VOLS from Harb.
Uh, could be a fun one. Well, not for us, but it could be extremely, extremely stressful. But I do like us.
Only thing, let's see here. Points per game, Utah State averages 80.8 points per game, but we average giving up 62 a game. Something's got to give there. They have nobody on their injury report. So their leading scorer is Utah State's leading scorer is Ian Martinez, 16.8 points per game. Our leading scorer is Chaz Lanier at 17.9. Give me the Vols. They will move on to face Illinois. So the Sweet 16 is set. Houston and Clemson, Illinois and Tennessee in Indianapolis. I don't know if this is at the Dome or if it's at
Probably at the Forum.
the field house there in Indianapolis. I'll look it up. Houston and Clemson, who do you have?
I gotta put my money where my mouth is.
You
Give me,
do.
give me the Tigs.
Man, the Clemson Tigers advancing on for Harbin. I got to go with Houston on this one. I just think Houston's probably, it's like Tennessee and Florida playing. I'm not saying Tennessee's a 5 seed or anything, but I just think Houston's a better basketball team. As long as Juwan, what's his name? Juwan Davis, as long as he stays healthy, he was out a lot of the Big 12 tournament. As long as he's healthy in there, I don't see them slipping up. I'm not saying Clemson can't. Clemson's a very good basketball team. Analytics say they're very good, and my eyes say they're very good. But it's these games are at Lucas Oil Stadium, Harbin, so it's in the dome.
And the Domey.
Big stadium. They must be hosting the Final Four the next year. I bet they are. They have to be.
By the way, you have Houston versus Purdue. Does that change your thought process?
No, give me Houston.
Okay.
Houston or Purdue or Houston or Clemson, give me Houston. I Kelvin Sampson's done a really good job there. I like the makeup of their team. I think they advance on. So that takes us to what'll be a stressful time for Vol fans. Tennessee in a rematch for me versus Illinois. Who did you have?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. So a rematch on both ends. So I've got Tennessee versus Illinois. Harbin has Tennessee and Kentucky. I still don't understand these picks. I guess it's saying that on CBS, it's saying that 60% of Tennessee or 60% of picks are for Tennessee to win this game. It only has 10% for Illinois. I guess that's what that means. So
It
60,
means the percentage of people having
yes.
them going to the Elite Eight.
So 60% of the people out there on CBS are picking Tennessee to go to the Elite Eight. Only 10% with Illinois. I Again, this is a matchup of a game that took place in Champaign earlier in the season. That, if you'll remember, that's when Jordan Gainey went coast to coast in a tie game with a layup to win it. Dramatic game. It was a really good basketball game. Illinois has been a good basketball team under Brad Underwood for a long time. They've been up and down this year. Yeah, they beat Kentucky, or I haven't beaten Kentucky, but I don't have them beaten Tennessee. I think Tennessee advances to the Elite Eight for the third time in program history and in back-to-back seasons. You've got Tennessee versus Kentucky in a matchup of two teams. This will be their third matchup of the season, and Kentucky won both games earlier in the season. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, Harbin. Can Tennessee do it? Or can Kentucky do it? Sorry.
Can they? Yeah, they absolutely can. When we play, there's going to be far more Kentucky fans than there are Tennessee fans in the building. But like I said about 45 minutes ago, I trust Rick Barnes and company to prepare for a team that they've already seen once, let alone twice, just as good as anybody in the country. And that's not me. That's not me being a homer. That's just me being honest. This game could go either way. Honest to God, it probably comes down to how well Kentucky's shooting the ball. But like you said, we're a top 5 to 6 team in the country. It's really damn hard to beat us three times in a row. Even the Vols. I think we muck them up a little bit. I think we play physical depending on how the game's called. I'm That's not a built-in excuse. I'm not saying that referees will decide this game. It just depends on if we get a ticky-tack officiating crew or kind of let it play style. If it's let it play, we might beat them handsomely,
Yeah.
especially if we're hitting a jump shot or two. If it's ticky-tack, it could be a sweater, but I really do like our odds if we play Kentucky a third time. So
So we both, moral of the story here, we've both got Tennessee advancing to the Elite Eight. So that sets it up for you. It's Tennessee versus Clemson. For me, it's Tennessee versus Houston. Who do you want to go first, me or you?
You can do whatever you want, pal.
I'll let you go first. I've been picking first here the last few picks.
So it's gonna make some people smile out there. It's gonna make some people mad. Uh, Tennessee Clemson. It's geographically a rivalry game
Should be.
with a trip to go to the Final Four. Uh, it's a matchup that should be played more often in all sports.
Yes.
Personal opinion. Uh, the one seed gets knocked off. You are now the top dog in the region. I hate to break it to you guys. It's just going to be another letdown to where you had a wide open path to the Final Four. It just, it happens. It happens. It is what it is. It's not to a bad team. Clemson's very good, but it's just hard for me to predict Tennessee go to the Final Four when it's never happened before. I want it to happen. I would want nothing more than for it to happen. But I feel like it's one of those games where one of the guys that's not even on the scouting report has a career night. He gets all the women in Indianapolis for, I don't know. I don't even know Clemson's roster outside of three guys, but a little white boy off the bench that drops 20. And he just gets every woman in the state of Indiana, which I don't know if that's a big accomplishment or not. But I'm taking Clemson.
Not sure. I'm not sure if that is either or not.
Taking Clemson. It is
Man,
what it is. I just can't put Tennessee in the Final Four. And I pray to God that they prove me wrong.
I do too. I mean, this is the thing. Like we talked about it, and I've heard others talk about it. Like you keep knocking on that door, the proverbial door to the Final Four, and at some point, like it's like baseball. Like we went to the College World Series for the seventh time last year. We keep putting ourselves in these positions to win these games and advance on and do something we haven't done in either ever or in a long time. And at some point, and maybe sometimes it doesn't happen, but I look at a program like Gonzaga. They keep knocking, knocking, knocking on the door and just can't ever get in. Now they've got to the Final Four under Mark Few, but they've never won a national championship, and that's a program you would think as much success as they've had over the last 20 plus years that they would have won a national title by now, but they haven't for whatever reason. And I mean, Tennessee, this is their seventh tournament in a row that they made. Um, and they keep putting themselves in these positions with Sweet 16s and Elite Eights. And, we've been heartbroken by these just fantastic runs by Loyola Chicago and Michigan and Oregon State. And it's like, when is it our time? When is it Tennessee's time to upset somebody or to kick in that door and march to San Antonio? Tennessee versus Houston is a tough matchup for Tennessee. It's Houston's long, they're physical basketball team. These two teams are very similar to each other. They play really good defense, pretty good offensively. I was looking at Ken Palm earlier to see where, and I've lost it here. Harbin, I apologize. But these two programs they play a very similar style of basketball. They're 10th in the country in offensive efficiency and second in defensive efficiency. Tennessee's 18th in offensive efficiency and third in defensive efficiency. So very similar makeups of these teams. Only thing that worries me about Tennessee, we mentioned it earlier, when they get into a game like this, is their depth. Can Felix Okpara, Igor Milicic stay on the floor and contribute? I mean, Milicic did not play very well at all the last couple games. I kept saying he pissed down his leg against Auburn. I mean, just couldn't catch the basketball at different times. And then today against Florida, he fouled out, was in foul trouble. I don't know if he ever fouled out or not. He was in foul trouble. He was just he was not a factor in the game at all. But they're going to have their hands full with Houston. And Houston's a very good basketball team. Like I said, they're long, their length could bother Tennessee, but there's something that keeps telling me that Tennessee is one of the top five, and Houston is too. Houston's a top five team. So they're both top five basketball teams. But when you get in situations like this, it's about making shots. And something tells me Tennessee makes some shots in this game. We saw matchups like this in Nashville, Tennessee versus Auburn, Tennessee versus Florida. Those were Final Four. I don't even want to say they're not Sweet 16. They're Elite Eight, Final Four caliber matchups. So Tennessee, this is not new to them. It, I wouldn't think it's new to Houston, but I just think I don't know, Harbin. There's something in my tummy that's telling me Tennessee wins this game and goes to San Antonio. I did not pick Tennessee last year to go to where was it? Was it Phoenix? I can't remember where the Final Four was last year. I didn't even pay attention to it after we lost. I just knew running into Purdue was not a good matchup for us. But Houston doesn't have a Zach Edey, but they do have a lot of length. And that could bother Tennessee, but I'm tired. Like I told Walker today, we got to stop going into these games with this. Oh, this team really worries me. No, they should be worried about us. Tennessee's a really, really good basketball team. This is going to be a really good game, but I think Tennessee just Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Mashak wills Tennessee to a win. I just think they find a way. Give me Tennessee to go to San Antonio, Harbin, to the historic Alamo Dome.
What?
What? It's where Stone Cold, it all ties together, Harbin. Stone Cold won the 97 Royal Rumble in the Alamo Dome.
And he's from Victoria, Texas.
Could he show up?
Oh, he'll be there.
Could he be our sixth man?
If it doesn't align, if it doesn't run across the WrestleMania timeline.
True. I don't think it will, but we'll see. But I got Tennessee making it to the Final Four. You got Clemson. So you got a 5 seed getting to the Final Four. I've got a 2 seed out of the Midwest region.
There's a lot of orange in the Midwest region.
Say what?
A lot of orange in the Midwest
There
region.
is. Illinois, Tennessee,
Texas and Clemson.
Clemson, Texas. Yeah, that's right. A lot of orange region.
I don't know what SIEU wears.
I have no idea.
They could.
Maybe so. Harbin and I will make our official picks on the section. This is a promo spot here. Harbin and I will make our official picks on the Section YY Bracket Challenge, which is being hosted on CBSSports.com again this season. So be sure to join us on there. I will post this on our social medias, a link to join the bracket. And let's see, my pools, Section YY8. I'm going to discard my picks. So, yeah, Section YY8 Podcast Bracket Challenge is on CBSSports.com. I will post a link on our Facebook page, on Twitter, Instagram. Be sure to join. I don't think there's any cost to enter. I haven't even put that in here. It looks like a couple people have already picked. Jake Mendenhall and David Armstrong have already completed their picks.
Wow.
Good for them.
What's the prize going to be this year for the winner?
That I don't know, Harbin. I've been thinking about that all afternoon. Last year we gave out a gift card to Scott Rimmer. He won the picks last year. We got a $25 gift card at Alumni Hall. We might do something similar to that this year. We'll have a prize of some sort for the winner. I'll have to think about that this week. May let them choose what they want. We'll see. But last year we did the $25 Alumni Hall gift card. That might get you a T-shirt these days. I don't know.
The money stakes just a hair.
I went in there. Yeah, I went in there the other day and was looking at some hats, and it's like they had, they used to have the T-shirts 2 for $20, and now they're like 2 for 35 or something like that. Thanks, Joe Biden. Bidenflation. anyways, yeah, well, I'll let everybody know what there will be a prize. We'll let everybody know what it is. But yeah, join the bracket challenge. Spread the word. I think last year it looks like we had 60. No, I didn't have 62 people. I don't know. Maybe we did.
We had a lot.
There was a lot in here.
I think we had 50 something.
62.
Wow.
Wow. And there's a lot of people I don't know in here, so that's awesome. That means a lot of people that are listening or somehow stumbled into this thing join the group. So appreciate those. There's been an email link sent out to everybody, or should have been an email link sent out to everybody that was in the group last year. I'll keep sending those out as the week goes along, but again, should be posted once a day. Links to join on our X account, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with either me or Harbin. So slide in the DMs or send one of us a text message and we'll get you guys hooked up. But be sure to enter your bracket. I think you can only enter one. Yes, I think I've got that set up. So don't enter more than one. That's cheating. We don't want that. We don't want cheaters. Oh, excuse me. God, I'm choking here, Harbin.
I believe it.
Unbelievable. Tennessee baseball didn't choke this weekend. Swept the Florida Gators. The weekend wasn't a total loss. I went on Friday night, Saturday. Did not go today, obviously, but pretty high level baseball was going on there. But Tennessee pulls away from Florida on Friday night, does the same thing on Saturday in a big way. I got down there late after we played Auburn Saturday. I got there in like the second inning. Going into the bottom of the seventh, Tennessee was up 1-0 and ends up walking off the Florida Gators 10-0. It was incredible. It was like the meme from what's the second Star Wars movie in the Disney? Um, Kylo Ren is screaming more, more. I was just screaming more. Pile it on, these guys. Pile it on. And that's exactly what we did. This program has a knack for getting big hits in big situations, making big time plays in big situations. And it just keeps happening. I don't know what it is. It's something that Tony Vitello's put in their water or got in their DNA somehow. But like Friday night, bases loaded. I think we were up 1-0. Dean Curley hits a double the other way, clears the bases, just opens the floodgates. Tennessee ends up winning. And then Saturday afternoon, just it was just a bombardment in that seventh inning. And then we won on Sunday today, 7-4. We're down 4-1 at one point. Came back and just railroaded Florida there in game three. Tennessee's 20-0. And if you go back to last year, they've won 22 games in a row, counting the two wins over Texas A&M to end the season.
The more impressive thing is now that we secured the series, obviously sweeping Florida, we have now went a full calendar year
Yes.
without losing a series,
That's crazy.
which is absurd.
Did you ever think, Harbin? I mean,
No,
I've thought about this a lot. I
I
think you know where I'm going with this. Did you ever think you would see Tennessee baseball like this? I didn't know who. I knew Tony Vitello when they hired him was a really good recruiter. I was like, man, if he can recruit some players here, he could get Tennessee back to the tournament on a consistent basis. This is like blowing my mind right now that we have a baseball program, and I love it. I absolutely love it that we have a baseball program like this right now. It has infused so much confidence, not only in me and in fans, but I feel like it's like oozing through the university right now with all of our sports programs. I mean, this is a golden era for Tennessee athletics right now. And I think a lot of it, honestly, a lot of it did start on Shiano Sunday back in 2020, or is that 2021 now? But Tennessee baseball was on the uprise by that point.
Sunday.
So, hmm,
Giannis Sunday was 2017.
was it?
Yeah, because Pruitt's first year was
Oh,
like,
that's right. I was thinking about Pruitt getting fired. Sorry. 2017. But that's about when it started. But John Curry hired Tony Vitello.
yeah, and whichever way you want to look at it, no, I never thought I would see Tennessee baseball at this point. I remember back in early high school, me and friend of the show, my best friend Seth Nelson, we would catch. There was multiple instances where this happened. We would catch SEC games in Lindsey Nelson for taking in a non-perishable food item.
Can of food. Yes.
And the SEC was still good at this point, but Tennessee was that bad. It was funny. Mama Harp will get credit out of this. We would raid my parents' pantry, find a can of soup or the soup, and then we'd head down to Knoxville and go to Lindsey Nelson. And it wasn't like we was playing Tusculum, I mean, we were playing like I don't know, like Mississippi State or something like that, and we were sitting 8 rows back on the first baseline. You know, like it was, and that was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Like
Hmm.
I know this sounds dumb, but hear me out. Like part of me misses us being bad for those reasons.
Well, I remember when I was in college, Thomas Raines and I, friend of the show and listener of the show, Thomas Raines and I, they would have games like during the day, like on a Friday. We'd go walk in. I remember we played Miami Hurricanes one time, and there was a lot of people there. We just walked in and sat wherever we wanted, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that was in the mid 2000s, and that was right around when we went back to the World Series in '05. I can't remember when that was. Oh, '03. Looks like maybe. We played Miami at Lindsey Nelson Stadium in Knoxville. And I pretty much we Thomas and I just walked in. Looks like we got swept, of course. But yeah, you're right. It's not the same as it was back then for sure. I mean, it's you can't get in anymore.
it,
I just can't get over that this program is where what he's done in this amount of time here.
yeah, it's an incredible problem to have. Like obviously I would much rather have this than the alternative. But being broke in 15, 16, 17, and taking in a Campbell's Chunky and getting to sit seventh on first baseline, that was fun.
So I found this hard, but I'm gonna show it to the if you're listening, you obviously won't be able to see this, but I was doing a little remodeling here in the studio over winter break and was moving some stuff around and forgot I had this, but I caught a foul ball at the Tennessee South Carolina baseball game, March 22nd, 2003. I've got the ticket stub right here to prove it. And you can see it's a SEC ball. See the logo right there for the people watching. If you're listening, I have a ticket stub. We were general admission, and I remember that night very well because I remember it was a little chilly outside, but yeah, there it is. Foul ball. And we won that series. I just looked up the schedule while you were talking. We swept South Carolina 3-0 on Friday, 4-2 in the game I was at, and then 10-6 on Sunday. And Tennessee let's see what they were in '03. Harbin. They were 31 and 24 overall, 13 and 17 in the conference. Not very good. Obviously in a much better place than we were then. But anyways,
Yeah.
Tennessee's off to a really good 3-0. I mean, winning series is one thing, but sweeping in college baseball is huge. Tennessee and Alabama, LSU, Texas are all 3-0 in the standings, followed by Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Auburn at 2-1. And then it's Ole Miss, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vandy at 1-2. Bringing up the rear is Florida, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Missouri 0-3. Texas A&M 0-3. They
Hmm.
were number one in the country just a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
I know they've got some injuries, but wow, they are digging themselves a pretty big hole here early on in the season.
Hmm.
Their record overall is 10-9. Yikes.
Hmm.
Not good. Do you
Hmm.
think Tennessee's number one when the polls come out on Monday?
I don't know how they could possibly not be.
Who did LSU play this weekend?
It was a bottom tier SEC team. I know that. I saw LSU fans talking about it. Like multiple LSU fans that randomly popped up on my Twitter are like, man, we struggled with a bottom tier SEC team, and
Missouri.
yeah, there you go.
Wow, they won 10-5 on Sunday. LSU won 7-6 on Saturday, and on Friday they won 12-5. I don't know.
He's 20-0.
Tennessee's 20-0, LSU's 18-1. And I think with the opponent we played this weekend, I think those two need to flip flop. It obviously doesn't matter right now, but
No, but Tennessee being 20-0 with a sweep over Florida, wins over Oklahoma State. Rice isn't as good as they used to be, but Rice is still a good name.
Rice
And
fired their coach the other day, by the way.
this early in the season?
Yes. In what D1 baseball called a shockingly early midseason firing, they released their head coach.
What was the other game? Was it Arizona?
Arizona State. Or no,
State.
sorry, Arizona. Sorry, Arizona. Wildcats.
I don't know if they're any good,
They were.
but
They were ranked when we played them. I don't know.
well, Oklahoma State was also 16th when we played them, and they're not in the new poll.
Arizona is 15-4 currently, 3-0 in the they're not in the Pac-12, Nathan.
Big 12.
They're in the Big 12. Let's see. Who did they beat this weekend? Cincinnati in 3. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cincinnati's not very good.
Man, it could be,
Let's see
but
what
I'm not
Oklahoma State is real
I'm not
quick. Sorry.
in March rankings for baseball. Tennessee's 20-0. It is we are extending the record for best start to a season by a defending national champion. I don't know what the record is for wins to start a season in general, especially by a Power 4/Power 5 team. You gotta imagine we're creeping up on it.
Now, I know we passed the 1997 LSU team for most wins, I guess longest win streak to start a season by a defending national champion. I
Yeah,
think is what it was.
they're 18-0, I think, or
I think
17.
they were. I think it was 18. And this week we have ETSU, who can hit some home runs, by the way. They're like, last I looked, they were top 5 with Tennessee in the country in home runs. And then we go to Alabama, which won't be an easy game or an easy series, but that is a Thursday. Oh gosh. Tennessee and Alabama Thursday at 7:30 starts right in the middle of Tennessee and Wofford.
No, no.
Jeez. Thursday, Friday, Saturday series in Tuscaloosa this weekend for the Vols.
And what day do we play ETSU? Tuesday?
Tuesday night at 5 o'clock at LNS.
I figured we'd be playing in Johnson City.
That'd be cool. They need to do that. Go somewhere and play like that.
That would be cool.
Just to do that. All right, Harbin. Well, we said it was a mega show. We've talked about a lot on here. Tennessee basketball in the SEC tournament came up short. Tennessee in the NCAA tournament, who they're playing, matchups in the Midwest region, our picks. Tennessee baseball, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We've talked about a little bit of everything. We hope everybody enjoyed the show. Do you have anything else before we go?
No. Well, yes, actually. Something to keep an eye on. is the streak that we've been talking about for the last 3 to 4 weeks, with SEC teams losing their next game after playing Tennessee.
Uh-oh.
Uh, this makes me hate my Texas pick, but Texas's first game after their last game, which was Tennessee, is against Xavier. So actually, I might pull a niece with the Biden economics and switch it.
But does it matter given the extended layoff they'll have? Because they'll have, well, it won't be that big. Friday to when do they play? Tuesday? They have to play Tuesday.
It's Friday, Tuesday. It's
Same
normal.
difference. So never mind. You're right.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that Texas Xavier matchup. Actually, I hate that I just now thought of this. I led y'all astray, ran you amuck.
I hope people didn't cut off the podcast now
I'm sure they did.
before you did that.
Uh, Xavier may be the play. The
Musketeers.
Tennessee hangover. I don't imagine Auburn or Florida losing to a 16 seed. So you can probably write that one off.
I don't think that'll work here.
But keep a heavy, heavy eye on that Texas Xavier game. That is my closing thoughts. Happy best week in sports. I mean,
It is. This is my favorite time of year. I know Tennessee lost today, but I texted you all but probably about 30 or 40 minutes after the game. I was like, I flushed it. I'm done. Probably wasn't even that long. I'm done. I'm ready for March Madness. I sat here in my living room watching the selection show like a kid, grinning ear to ear. I love this time of year. The only thing I didn't like about the selection show this year, it sucked that Greg Gumbel wasn't on there. I know he passed away. He's the only person I ever remember doing the selection show. But he's unfortunately had some health problems and passed away. So it was a little weird this year not having him on the broadcast. But um, awesome, awesome time of year. One of my favorite days of the year, Selection Sunday. And then the best 2 days of the year, Thursday and Friday. Basketball all day long, starting at noon until probably midnight.
it's awesome. It's so good. And my screwed up brain is you have the players, and then you have the entire March Madness tournament, and then it walks you straight into Augusta National.
And then
I'm,
you walk off of that. Let's see, when
you can't draw it up any better.
don't forget WrestleMania, Harbin. It's right in there too.
WrestleMania is right in there. You absolutely cannot draw it up any better. You have the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass, which we do not have a champion as of the time of this taping because of darkness.
Hmm.
We'll get that tomorrow around noon or 11 a.m., whatever. And then we'll have college basketball for a month of chaos, and then it'll roll directly into the Masters. Spring is here. There's no more darkness for 5 hours. I'm not going to rattle off on that. It's a happy time of year. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's uplifting. Don't gamble too much. You're going to lose your money on the NCAA tournament. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Just dabble in it.
Yeah, dabble, you know.
Dabble.
You know, throw a unit here, a unit there. Maybe throw a half a unit on 5 games. And if you win, you get 10 units, and bada bing, bada boom, you're the realest dude in the room. And there you go. But it's so fun. I'm so glad that we made it here. And happy hunting. Hope the Vols can go as far as they can.
So I'm going to leave you with this. This is the greatest time of year. I'm going to have another bit. It's spring break around here in the Knoxville area. Everybody's either at the beach or they're traveling and having time. Not me. I'm here grinding it out, Harbin. Got two baseball games this week on, let's see, the Hornets play tomorrow night versus stupid ads.
Why do you need the ads to know who the Hornets play?
Well, it's on the app where their schedule is, and it's not letting me open it. Why is this happening? Ah, here we go. Let's see. We've got a home game on the Hornets are undefeated, by the way, 6-0. Home game on Tuesday night versus the Northview Academy. Wait a minute, this isn't right. I'm gonna have to go look at my schedule. It says the home game's on Wednesday. I had it on Monday. Something's happened here.
Hmm.
Shame on you, Coach Armstrong. Two home games this week: Clinton and Northview Academy. Hornets look to go 8-0. Shout out to Coach Kate and the Carter Hornets, running Hornets as they used to be called. They came up 2 points short, Harbin, or maybe four, but they were down two there against Greenville in the state sectionals. They had it tied under a minute to go and just couldn't get over the hump. So they came up one couple baskets short of getting to Murfreesboro to the Murphy Center. But incredible season, 26. I think they went 26-9 on the season. Won the district tournament championship. Advanced to the region finals, came up short. Advanced to the state sectionals, came up short. Just a couple possessions here or there. That's what it's about this time of year. Couple possessions here or there might cost you a game, and it unfortunately did for the Hornets. But another outstanding season for the Hornets. Coach Kate has done a great job at Carter. Really enjoy watching those guys play and getting to work those games. Provides a little light in the darkness of winter, Harbin.
For
I
sure.
hate winter. I hate winter. I hate January and February. It sucks. It's so glad that it's daylight now. And the grass is growing, as Big Montana says,
Uh
which is not good, according to him.
oh. Uh oh.
But it was growing on Friday and Saturday, and we won.
It was.
So we'll see. Maybe it must have grown a lot faster on Sunday after the rain we had
Oh,
Saturday night.
at a rapid growth phase.
Rapid growth. It cost Rick. Anyways, appreciate everybody listening. Remember to, if you're listening, check out our YouTube page. Sorry, our YouTube channel. Just Google Section YY8 podcast, or sorry, search Section YY8 podcast on YouTube, and it'll pop up. Remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can also listen to us on your phone or when you're traveling in your car. You can get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just look for Section YY8. Again, don't forget the bracket challenge, the Section YY8 podcast bracket challenge on cbssports.com. We've posted the info on our Facebook page, our Twitter account. I'll get that on Instagram here at some point in the next day or so. And if you really want to, if you can't find it or are having trouble, get with me or Harb, slide in our DMs or send us a text and we'll get you hooked up. Harbin, it's going to be a great week of basketball.
Huge.
Huge. Everybody enjoy basketball this week. Get your picks in before Thursday at noon. Go Vols. Maybe I'll see you in Lexington. Many don't want me to go, but I didn't go to Nashville and we lost there. So if I go to Lexington, I'll let you all know and we can meet up if you're up there. But if not, go Vols. Let's get to San Antonio. This is the first step. Go Vols. We'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.